Oh my fucking god, this bald ass fucking goblin, no egg liking ass, encroaching on my fucking viewership. My viewership of fucking 63 views. God damn it. Asmongold did the same reaction as me, and we're gonna react to his reaction of the video I reacted to 3 weeks ago. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it and see what he has to say. I'd imagine it's much of the same, though.
Definitely are suffering from people being like,
wait. 2 hours ago, 68,234 views. 3 weeks ago, 63 views. Oh my god. He fucking ratioed. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
hyper focused on finishing the game and doing it quickly. Like, I was actually going to watch this video about it, about how streamers ruined gaming, because I do think that like streaming and everything has had a profound effect on gaming, and that effect is not all good.
Did streamers really ruin gaming, or are you just trash? In this video, I'm going to talk about gaming before streaming was popular and gaming after streaming became.
What was the game?
I'm going to talk about gaming before streaming.
What the fuck? Super NES? Super fucking... I don't even know what that is.
It's a Super Nintendo, brother! What? What do you mean?
Streaming was popular and gaming after streaming became popular, and by the end of this video you'll have an answer
trying to read the
on
name
if
of the
streaming
game.
really ruined gaming or not. Now, a few months ago I was actually...
He was trying to read the name of the game?
Super fucking... I don't even know what that is.
Oh, okay.
Was popular and gaming after streaming became.
I thought he was talking about
by the end of this video,
the console.
Trying to read the name of the game.
Really ruined gaming or not? Now, a few months ago, I was actually scrolling through Twitter and I saw this tweet right here that says dominating blue collar workers in Battlefield.
Oh god, I remember this.
Well, it's basically like Battlefield and Roblox. And
yeah.
This is pretty much the whole clip. Yeah, pretty much that guy is just straight up dominating people. That's pretty much it. And I saw a quote tweet that said, "Esports ruined casual gaming." Now, I know the whole title of this video is like something along the lines of how streamers ruined gaming, but I'm gonna put streamers and esports kind of in the same category. They
are in the same category because they elicit the same type of behavior. And also a lot of streamers for competitive games are streamers because they're competitive players.
Yeah, because with streaming, you kind of got to either be good at a game or funny, and with esports, you got to be good at a game. So I'm gonna put them both together because they're pretty similar, if I do say so myself. But to really understand this, we gotta go all the way back to 2018, the Fortnite boom. Before Fortnite was this cringe cash grab that pretty much just preyed on little kids for money, it was a game that nobody truly knew how to play and everyone had fun with it. I mean, back in 2018, every single human being was talking about Fortnite. I mean, back then you had Fortnite meme pages, every single human being was posting their
wins.
Bro,
everyone was playing fucking Fortnite,
IRL.
Except me.
Fortnite move! Oh, do it again.
Jesus.
Fortnite move.
Jesus, that was...
I'm still, like, impressed by how well this kid is doing that. Holy
shit.
I mean, that's how we got the infamous ninja clip.
Oh my god.
Man, this shit was so rough. This shit was really rough.
And since Fortnite was so popular, one thing that also became popular because of Fortnite was streaming. Back then, Twitch was like pretty niche, but I'd say that Fortnite made Twitch more mainstream. And you may be asking,
Fortnite definitely was a huge impact on streaming. Fortnite was fucking massive. And it definitely brought streaming into the mainstream.
Why did people go to Twitch and not YouTube? Well, the thing about YouTube is that a lot of YouTube videos are edited.
Fortnite,
and some people,
along with League, and then later Valorant coming along, definitely helped it a lot too.
They may be good on YouTube, but it's like on Twitch. Twitch is live, Twitch is raw. So if you lose, like, people are gonna see you lose.
They sure
and
do.
if you win, people are gonna see you win. And that's
Yeah.
why Twitch was so popular, because you could see high-level gameplay in real time. To
Yeah.
determine if somebody was truly good, all you had to do was just watch them on Twitch.
That's
and with
right.
Twitch becoming so popular, some streamers that a bunch of people were watching back then was people like Myth, Ninja, Dr. Lupo, Nick Merckx.
Yep.
The whole Ninja versus Myth argument was like the biggest topic in school. I remember I was
Ninja
back
and
in like
Tfue.
freaking 10th grade and we were arguing
Wait,
Yeah.
hold
lunch
on.
tables talking about if Myth or Ninja was better. I'm not gonna lie, back then I was team Myth. But with all those popular streamers and pro players being in the limelight,
Wait. Asmon. Why didn't you say what team you were? Are you the light side or the dark side? We want to know. Ninja or Myth? I'm Myth. Alright? Choose wisely.
that made more people want to be a pro player / streamer. I mean, did y'all see how some of these Fortnite teams were getting down? Bro, I'm telling you, if I had to crank a few 90s to be a freaking Fortnite pro back then, I probably would. And that's exactly where the downfall of gaming happened. Everyone's
Everybody trying to be a streamer. Everybody TTV, YT,
Yep.
.kick, you know, like live or something like that. Yeah, that's what it does.
Having YT in your handle or TTV or, you know, just anything along those lines was extremely, like, cringe. But it is like he's saying this was the boom of Twitch and everything rising. It was actually, like, pretty insane.
And so you've got these kids, and it's like, you know, back in the day, you'd play a video game, and it's like, you knew that it didn't really fucking matter how good you were at Smash Brothers. Like, you're still just playing a fucking video game. Who gives a shit? But, like, now, because you can play this game and make a bunch of money, you've got these kids literally playing these games like their life depends on it. And, like, it elevated the entire,
Motherfucker! He's saying the same shit. Maybe not word for word, but the concept is still there.
you know, the entire intensity of competition in gaming. And so, like, people that just want to play the game casually are getting queued into lobbies with these people, and it's, like, not fun for them. Like, for example, like, for me, for Fortnite, like, I didn't want to have to learn, like, all of the, like, speed building stuff. Like, I just didn't, didn't like the gameplay
because
of it.
fuck building.
Maybe
no
I
build
could do
all the
it.
way.
I don't know. I didn't even try, to be honest. I didn't even really try. So it just didn't seem like it appealed to me because it felt too sweaty. So I just kind of gave up.
started focusing on the money you can make from gaming.
I think a lot of people
rather
did
than
with
the
Fortnite.
fun from
Yeah,
gaming.
that's why they
Fortnite
were
used to
happy
be
with
this
no
game
build.
where you try to win by doing these creative strats, like building a sky base, building a
Yeah.
huge metal base, or
Yep.
maybe even camping in a bush. But then it turned into this huge sweat fest when people saw that you could make abnormal amounts of money from this game. Back
Exactly.
then, if you shot at a dude, they would probably start shooting at you back, like they wouldn't even build. But now,
Yeah.
if you shoot at somebody in Fortnite, they're building a whole freaking skyscraper hotel with Wi-Fi. It's actually wild.
Well, and it's also like you think about, like, there were people that got discovered for being stream snipers or killing a popular player at the time. Like, I think that it was like the one kid that won like $3 million from the Fortnite tournament. Like, not just Greek, right? But like he ended up killing Tfue or something like that, and it was like a really big deal.
Now,
Booga,
let me
yeah.
say this right now. I do also say
Yeah.
that that's kind of just.
I mean, making money playing Fortnite on a competitive level was definitely like the allure of the rise of, you know, streaming on Twitch. Everyone wanted to like get good at Fortnite and became really sweaty at it. But the problem is there's millions and millions of people, and although one did win $3 million, he is just one person out of millions. Like, think of like how hard you have to go to win that $3 million. Like, it's actually like insane. Like, they make it sound simple here, but it's not that simple to be good at like a competitive game such as Fortnite or League of Legends or Valorant. And those are just a few examples, right? There's so many others, and gaming is just huge today.
Like,
I was keeping thinking Buddha. I was like, no, it's not it.
Everyone's playing games to be the best rather than to just have fun with their boys. Everyone is playing to be watched on Twitch or watched on YouTube. I mean, you ever play a game and you get killed by somebody with a TTV gamer tag?
Yeah, there it fucking is. Holy shit.
Yep, there's that TTV cringe shit. Fuck! I feel like I need to like stress eat.
Yep.
And they're not streaming at all. They're just sweating just to sweat. Like,
or like you go to their stream. You go to their stream and they have like 2 viewers. And you look like, oh, we've been streaming for 9 hours. It's like, holy shit, man.
Is he attacking me, dude? Did you come into my stream like some odd years ago? Watching me stream League of Legends for like 14 hours to like 2 viewers? The fuck, man? How's he know so much about me?
Just playing for that top spot, because in that top spot you can make content out of it, and with that content comes a lot of money. Unless you're playing like Farming Simulator and you're a pro. I don't really think you make a lot of money from like pro Farming Simulator, but
no,
I
probably not.
I might become a Farming Simulator pro. You never know. Bars.
Well, this is why, for example, like people were unhappy about Helldivers, and then players trying to like force meta comps. And it's like also whenever you're talking about a competitive game, like for example, like in Helldivers, you really don't need that because there's...
You know what? Speaking of Asmon knowing so much about me, does he also know about my fucking Asmongold teeth?
No PvP. But the reality is that meta comps are meta because they're really good. That's why they're meta, guys. It's like everybody's like, oh, I like going against the meta. But yeah, but like you're not playing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I said this in my original reaction, but even though there is a meta, everyone starts hopping on the meta, and eventually, when everyone is doing that, they learn how to counteract it, or they know what to do in order to beat the other person playing meta. But when this happens, it begins to plateau and it doesn't really progress anywhere. Everyone is just playing the same, so there isn't any real progression. It's only when an actual really good player does something out of the box that thus starts a new meta that exceeds the one before. And it's like, it's insane, dude. But like playing meta in competitive games is like, maybe it's fun for a little bit, but it eventually gets fucking boring because everyone is fucking doing it. It's not fun. Everyone's just doing the same shit. Like, the point of gaming is to have fun. And I get that, like, when you're playing competitive, like, you want to win, but, like, I think it should still be fun at the same time. Like, if everyone's just doing the same shit, I don't know, man.
Playing a competitive game.
That
like
shit's annoying.
An
like,
equal
mad
skill
annoying.
player, like, of equal skill, it's you versus somebody else of equal skill. You're using meta, they're not. You win, they lose. That's how it is. That's why it's the meta.
Everyone's pretty much playing to be watched. I remember back then, games wouldn't really get sweaty until like 2 or 3 weeks after release. But now, games are sweaty off the rip. It can be 5 days away from Call of Duty coming out, and you already got a dude making a video saying, best class setup 2023, MW3. And it's like, bro,
Season 0.
Also, if you do want to check out my reaction, then I'll have it like somewhere up here in one of the corners. But yeah, definitely check it out if you're interested.
Release. It can be 2 weeks before 2K comes out, and a dude already has the best build. It makes no sense. And when the game comes out, people are only going to play the meta, because when you only play the meta, you can win more. And when you win more, you can get up to that top rank. And when you get up to that top rank, you can stream, create content from it. More people are going to watch you because you're up high on the leaderboards. And then the cycle just continues and continues and continues. And now everyone's just playing the same because everyone's just trying to be the best to be able to stream it / be watched. Back then,
because like everybody, like I saw a poll and it said that like kids in like America and in, I think it was in the UK specifically, but somewhere in Europe, the number one job they wanted to be was a streamer. And like, you know, number 2 was YouTuber, or number 3 was professional gamer, right? It was like 2 out of the 3 top careers were like being a video game streamer or something like that. And so, yeah, China wanted to be astronauts and doctors. Yeah, I remember, I think I said that then. Last time I brought this up. I don't know what that means, but probably not some.
Well, everyone says this like it's a terrible thing, and maybe in one aspect it is, but I don't see this as a bad thing overall. So maybe more Westerners want to be content creators. A good example that backs up what Asmongold is saying is that my daughter wants to be a YouTuber, and, you know, I never would have started on this journey if it wasn't for her. YouTube was never on my radar until then, and then as I continued to do it, to learn things to teach her, I eventually found myself personally enjoying it quite a bit, and so I have kept doing it so that later on I can continue to teach my daughter and guide her when the time comes for her. But you know, I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing to be creative and get your creativity out there, or just express how you feel about something. I actually think it's a pretty good and healthy way to do it. It's when you take it too far on the internet where, like, it just becomes a toxic mentality rather than something healthy. But if you're doing it in a good way, I don't really see the problem with, you know, a bunch of people being content creators. But in its own way, it does make it harder for a lot of content creators because there's just so much competition in a sense.
Something good. Either way, this kind of stuff is, you have all these kids that are trying to do this, and the reality is that every once in a while a kid does pop off and he does do really well. So it's not like it's out of the ordinary. And like, if you're very good at a very popular competitive game, you will be able to make money off of that. Absolutely. It's not even a question. Even if you're just buying.
Yeah, but in this day and age, to be like someone like actually that good on like a professional level is like really, really high, and the number of people making it there is extremely low. Like, think about like how many professional players you know, and think about like how many new players on that professional level come onto the scene. Like, it's not very often. It does happen, like obviously there's going to be new players, obviously, but it doesn't happen as often as people think. The percentage is actually pretty low.
And selling accounts. Don't you think it feels better now whenever you beat the meta? Well, yeah, but you're probably not going to beat the meta, right? And this is like assuming equal skill, right? And that's my whole point, is like, it doesn't matter whether it feels better whenever you're beating the meta. Whenever you lose to the meta, does it feel worse? I mean, for me, like, I remember like losing to meta players. It was like, okay, another one. Great. All right, next.
You would play games for the fun because there was really no money involved. But now it's like every single human being is trying to become the top streamer, and it's like, bro, like, where's the fun in that? Back then, gaming tournaments were giving out speckles. I'm telling you, if you won a gaming tournament for like freaking Mortal Kombat or Halo or something like that, you were probably going to get 50 cents in a Big Mac. But now, if you win a freaking Fortnite tournament or you just win a
these days, the Big Mac could be the reward with how fucking expensive all the fast food is becoming. Shit is fucking insane.
Freaking Call of Duty tournament, dog, you're honestly set. You can buy your mom a freaking mansion. People are getting millions from tournaments. I mean, look at Booga, bro. Didn't he won like 3 million, I'm pretty sure, off of Fortnite? That is wild.
Well, it's like, also there's that, and then there's
Booga?
like also like
okay,
smaller scale levels of success. Like, for example, a lot of WoW players make a lot of money selling carries, right? I mean, they make a tremendous amount of money. Not like, this isn't like a 6-figure salary for like 99.99% of even the people that are selling the stuff, right? But they're making a huge amount of money, and they're able to do that and finance what their hobby is. And then if you add in streaming, well, then that's a whole other multiplier, because like, you're not just making $3 million, you're making 20 grand a month streaming or something like that. and it's consistent, and it's something that you have, like, you know, streaming is like it's, you know, obviously like the Hassan thing, right? Not every single thing about streaming is always good all of the time. But listen, guys, a lot of fucking things are. And you can complain about streaming, like Hassan complained about it, I can complain about it, anybody will complain about it. But at the end of the day, they're probably going to go live the next day. So,
well, yeah, because everybody wants to make money. You know, with anything, there's always going to be negatives and positives. It's just what negatives you are willing to deal with and what positives you enjoy the most. You know, streaming is hard in its own way, but in a physical aspect, it's not as challenging as someone doing construction or, you know, any sort of physical labor type job. Whereas, like, with a physical labor type job, it's mentally taxing as well as physically, especially if, you know, you're dealing with customers or you just have a bunch of fucking coworkers that you just fucking hate.
The truth is that streaming, you have a lot of advantages and opportunities that you don't necessarily have whenever you're working a traditional job. So that's why I think so many people go after it.
That is insane money. Another thing about gaming after streaming is that games that aren't even sweaty are becoming sweaty. For example, Fall Guys.
Yeah.
I remember back in 2020, every single human being was playing Fall Guys during quarantine. And with everybody playing Fall Guys, TikTok got a hold of that. And I remember scrolling through TikTok one day, and I saw this one dude making videos of the best strats on certain maps on Fall Guys. And I just thought to myself, what do you gain from being a sweat in Fall Guys? What do you gain? Like, I understand
everything. Renown, notoriety, fame, wealth, power. Sounds like the intro to One Piece now.
Gains views. That's what he gains. And people want to win the game. It's really not that complicated.
It's not.
But it's still like, whenever you say it, it's like, yeah, it kind of is it, you know? It's the point of the game. Yeah, exactly.
And they're trying to show people how to win and stuff. But I feel like the reason why Fall Guys was so fun was because nobody was making strats or anything. People were just hopping in, having fun, just playing like headless chickens, you know? I feel like games die out quicker when you're making all these strats and stuff on how to win, when it's not even like, obviously, yes, the goal in Fall Guys is to win, but I feel like the whole point of that game is to enjoy the journey. Like the fun.
People play like their life depends on it, because it does. Like, these are people that don't have any other prospects in life at all. So, like, their win condition in life is to be a streamer or to be like a YouTuber or something like that, professional player. So whenever they're playing like their life depends on it, that's actually true. In their mind, it is.
With friends, the freaking hurdles you're going over, that one dude griefing you on the map. Like, when you're only focused on trying to get crowns in that game, the game becomes less fun because you're just focused on the destination.
Circling back to the topic earlier in the video, it's something I touched on in my reaction of it, and Asmongold sort of touched on it, but the games in the modern era these days is centralized around being the best, whereas games back in the day, in the 90s to the 2000s, was centralized around having a good experience and actually having, you know, feature complete games. There wasn't any of this bullshit where it was released on PC and the optimization was fucking dog shit. Like, you could get a game and you would have 100% solidarity that you would have an experience. You know, you would get what you paid for. Games back in the day were centralized around a good story and making sure you were immersed, whereas games these days present you with challenges, competition, and who is the best.
Rather than the journey. Imagine coming home from a long day of school or work, and you're getting sweated on in Fall Guys. Imagine you're over there just trying to chill, you know, you're on this little cutesy game that's like Wipeout, and out of nowhere...
I also think, like, another reason is that I bet in, like, traditional sports, this probably doesn't happen as much. Like, it's not like people are sweating on the basketball court because they think that they're going to be able to go to the NBA. Like, it's probably not that big of an issue in the same way that it is with Twitch. And I think the reason why is there's not really a lot of, like, general, like, cultural understanding of, oh, yes, they are. You think they do? I don't know. The last time I played basketball was like 10 years ago against anybody else.
Bro, if anybody gets the chance to show off they have big dick energy, they're gonna fucking do it. Like, it's just how it is.
It wasn't just like a friend of mine. They definitely do. You think so? Well, damn, maybe that's not a good example. But I feel like also because a lot of people, well, here's my point. Like, being a good streamer isn't just about being good at a video game. And the best streamers, true, I think, make streaming look easy and make it simple to do and make it seem like it's a very one-dimensional process.
Right, and he is actually a really good example of this. You see, if you're not really good at a video game and you're aspiring to be a streamer or a YouTuber or anything in the content creation space, then you have to be a pretty good entertainer, and, you know, people have to like you. You have to have a likability about you, or something that is alluring or appealing or whatever it may be. If you're not good at a certain game, you have to be an entertainer, much like Asmongold or Tectone. These are two really good, successful examples that I can think of, like, off the top of my head, and obviously Asmongold's right in front of me. But yes.
Now, if you actually look at it, and like I could explain it in like 50 different ways, right? But at the end of the day...
Also, this fucking name is so fucking cringe, man.
Streaming and being successful at it, there are more facets of it than people would initially expect. And I'm not saying it's hard. I'm not saying like you can't do it or it like takes a PhD to do this. Especially to like a young person, they're going to think that all I have to do is turn on my stream and play video games and I'm going to become a millionaire. And that's not really how it works.
TTV Try Hard for Life literally just claps you every single map. And it's like, dude, you can't even have fun anymore. And since everyone's tryharding, games are now catering to the bad players. One thing that games have been implementing is this thing called skill-based matchmaking. If you don't know what it is, well, I'll basically explain. Think of a lobby where all the top players from a bunch of different games all get into a lobby with each other and go head to head. Basically ranked play, but with no bonus rewards or anything. You just kind of get into a lobby with the best players without getting any specific reward in casual play. And the thing about skill-based matchmaking is that it's unfair because the good players are being punished for being good at the game. And it gets to this point where it's like...
I think it's such a nuanced conversation, and I honestly don't know what the right decision on skill-based matchmaking is. Because, like, for example, how many of you guys quit playing Fortnite because you kept getting beat by people that were so far above you in skill level that you just knew that you were never going to put in that amount of effort and you were just like, okay, I'm done, right? So it's like, yeah, you have instances.
It's like even further beyond that. And I do talk about this pretty extensively in my reaction. And again, I'll have it up here. And you can go and watch that if you're interested in my perspective on it. But there is a lot of nuance to it, like Asmongold said. Like a lot.
Is like that. And that's why skill-based matchmaking gets put into a game. And you should want to play against people that are of your same skill level. But the opposite of that is that if you invest a lot of time into being good at a game, I think a lot of people want to be able to go 20-0 and just farm people that are fucking garbage. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's a matter of like the strength of the skill-based matchmaking. I think that you need some degree of skill-based matchmaking, but I think that in a lot of games, it's too strong, where it's like if you win one game, if you go top 10, and then you win the game after you go top 10, you know that in the next game, you're going to be number 83. So, like, yeah, I think probably having a wider gap is, or a wider, like, range of people that it's acceptable for makes it okay. And I think it's whenever it's too strong or it feels too artificial is whenever it's a problem. Smurfs ruin games. I am a big advocate of smurfing being against TOS. I think
it inevitably will end up feeling artificial simply because of how skilled matchmaking works, because it deters casual players from wanting to play the game at all. And I know you'll be saying like, well, it's ranked. They shouldn't be playing if they're no skill. Like, okay, dude, like, I get it, but you need casual players in order for a game to stay alive. If you don't have new players coming in, the game is going to fucking plateau and everyone's going to get sick of like just the game being stagnant. Like it can't work like that. You need to have new players that can also come into the game and enjoy it. And I said this in my reaction, but BDO is a good example. But again, I won't go into it here.
I think it's one of the stupidest fucking things that you can have somebody that's like playing on an alt account on ranked, ruining the experience. Like this happens in WoW. Like you're playing a gladiator games at 1800. Like you're queuing into a guy. This guy has gladiator. You have a rank 1 player in a 2100 match. Like what the fuck? How does this even happen?
Winning feels like a chore rather than actual fun.
Wow.
Because back then, if you truly wanted to sweat, you would go into like a ranked game mode or something. But now, if you're a tryhard, you're gonna play every single other tryhard 24/7 just because you're good at the game. Back then, games like Call of Duty, what they would do, you would join a lobby, and if you wanted to leave that lobby, you would just leave it. And if you wanted to stay after the game, you would stay. But now, after a game is finished, they just transport you to a whole different lobby with everyone else who also did good. And it's like, now you gotta go head to head with all the big dogs just because you won one game. I remember Call of Duty Black Ops.
Well, fuck, man. I wish it worked like that in fucking League. Instead, what happens in League is if you... Shit, now I'm going into it when I've already explained it in my reaction. But basically, what happens is if you get above a 50% win rate, it starts wanting to bring you back down to the 50% win rate. So instead of giving you good players that are on your skill level, it starts pairing you up with dog shit fucking players that if you're not good enough, you're just gonna fucking lose because the algorithm or the MMR is supposed to keep everyone around a 50% win rate. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of dog shit, honestly.
Cold War, that had some of the worst skill-based matchmaking ever. That game was borderline unplayable because if you won one game, you would be playing the freaking Optic roster from freaking 2014 just from winning one game. And another way of games catering...
Well, I think also, like, that's what I was saying before about it being very artificial. Because like also you have to keep in mind that if you're winning games and you're crushing people every game, the people getting crushed are having that same bad experience that you have whenever you're queuing into Optic. So it's like and this is what I was saying before, is like I don't know how to solve I don't know what the solution to this is. I've thought about it a lot.
It's tough, yeah.
I think it's just like, yeah, it's just bad matchmaking. Because like also, and it depends on like what their goal is. Is their goal to get you to a 1-to-1 kill death ratio? Or like what is the goal? Like how do they calculate what your internal rating is? I don't know.
The goal is to keep you around 50%.
Fortnite adding...
That's how it's supposed to work, is if you're above 50%, it's going to pair you up with players that are worse than you so that you have a higher chance of losing, thus bringing you closer to the 50%. And when you're closer to the 50%, then that's when it starts to level it out and pairs you with players that are on your skill level so that you can get wins. But then when you get wins, the cycle just repeats. And the only way to keep a win streak going is you just have to be that good. You have to be him.
Bots,
that's how it is.
Games just so you can feel better about yourself.
Yep.
Let's be real. It is 2023.
They do that for new players, as far as I know. I don't know if they add bots. Like PUBG adds bots, even whenever you're not new. But Fortnite, I know that they add bots for new players.
Nobody is a default anymore in Fortnite. I mean, back then, yes, there were people who were bad at the game, but nobody is so bad that they're literally running into a wall 24/7 in Fortnite. So now it's like...
Well, I don't know if I'd completely agree with that. I think that there are always going to be, like, there's always a new batch of 7-year-olds that play the game that are shitty at it.
Well, sure, yeah.
There's no middle ground between the good and the bad players.
These days in Fortnite, we also call them bots, but, you know, I digress.
It's like, if you're good, you're being punished, and if you're bad, you're being rewarded. There's actually this tweet by Faye Sway that says, "The downfall of video games started when kids complained about people being good at the game. I remember when I was a kid and saw a Master Prestige in COD, I didn't tell him to take a shower or go outside. I sent that MF a friend request." And that's facts. Instead of actually...
You see this shit all the time in League too. You're killing it one game, and then someone adds you that was on your team, and they're like, carry me, free LP.
I think that like that's definitely true, and that's a good point. That's sometimes what I would do too, but that's also coming from the mindset of somebody who's a professional gamer. And whenever you look at it from the, and this is, I think, the problem with like the conversations around skill-based matchmaking, is that people are only looking at it from their own perspective, and they're not trying to like actively think about it from the perspective of the other person. Because like if you, like for example, some people might not have time to get good at the game. And so if the game is really hard, then they just end up quitting. That's
right,
it.
and that circles back to what I was saying earlier. Like, a competitive game still has to be appealing to like a new player. Like, you can't just like instantly shit on them. Like, they're gonna fucking leave the game, dude.
And like sometimes that's the right option, right? I mean, like especially for competitive games, that's the right option. If you can't get good at the game, you keep losing, then just quit. But the reality is that if you have so many people, if the game is so hard to get into and the skill cap is so high, well, look at StarCraft. Look what happened with StarCraft. The game's fucking dead. And
Exactly.
RTS as an entire genre is dead. I think one of the big reasons for that is because the skill cap is so high. It's like the amount of metagaming you have to do is incredible. You adapt to the challenge. Yeah, but like what you see, again, this is like, you have to think about it. You're thinking about it from your perspective. You have to think about it from a perspective of a man who's been challenged ever since 6 a.m. It's 8 p.m. now. He spent 8 hours being challenged.
Right, like not everyone is like queuing up into a game and like wanting to try hard like all these kids, you know? Like some people just want to chill and have a good time and just enjoy playing the game. But the problem is that like if this was just ranked, that would be fine. But it's leaked into like normals and just like casual play where everything is just a sweat fest, like Cameron is saying in this whole video.
Yeah, for you it's a challenge, but for him, like, he works for a living. Like, that's his challenge. This is his enjoyment. He's playing this to enjoy himself. And you can easily say, oh, well, this game isn't for you. Great, that's fine. But if enough people say that, then the game dies. And that's what happened with the game like StarCraft 2. I think it's a big reason. And it's what happened, I think, why a lot of people bounced off of Fortnite. The game just got so good, or the game got so hard. So again, like, just try to look at it from other people's perspective. Try to like listen to what they're saying, and like remember, like, being able to overcome a challenge in a video game doesn't mean anything. There's no...
You know what I say to people like that? I just say, fuck you, get good. Or leave the game. And it's because of people like me that games die. I'm just fucking with you guys. Sometimes
it's just a game.
Putting in the work to be good, a lot of people just sit there and complain, and now games are kind of catering to them. But one game that I say that kind of bridged the middle ground between the really good players and the really bad players is Street Fighter 6. One thing that Street Fighter 6 did, they added something called modern controls and classic controls. Classic controls, basically you have to do more to push out a combo, and if you do that successfully, then that combo does more damage. But if you play modern controls, you only hit square or something, and it'll do a full combo, and those combos do less damage. So it kind of bridges the gap between good and bad players.
Okay,
but that's a whole fighting
interesting.
game. How can this be fixed in like games that are like FPS or something like that? In my honest opinion, I say that FPS games should just go back to like the regular lobbies, you know? Back then, you could join a lobby, scope out the lobby, see who's like the freaking best players and stuff. And if they were a little too good for your level, you could leave if you wanted to. Like, I don't think that you should be transported into the freaking universe of...
And again, in like a normals lobby or game, I think that should always be the case, yes. However, you cannot do that in ranked. There has to be some sort of consequence for you going into a lobby, and then if you try to have this mentality of like, oh, these players are too good for me, I'm gonna dip out so I can get into a game where I can win. Like, there has to be a consequence for that, or else everyone would do it and they'd climb. and it would just ruin the whole rank system, like, to begin with, you know? But yeah.
The top 12 Call of Duty Masters after you win one game. I feel like there should always be that option to stay if you want to stay or leave if you want to leave. There was nothing wrong with those lobbies back then. It's just like,
if you're like getting paired with like extremely skilled players right after you win one game, which is like insane, but this should be a red flag to you that there's so many good players in the game that have like caused new players to leave, that all it takes is one game and then you're up against these players. That's how many good players are in the game. That, or it's equating your skill from last game to these players, or it's just trying to figure out how you will do against these players. Kind of wild.
I think what they should do is they should just like really soften skill-based matchmaking. And like make it to where like you play against a much larger variety of players, or at least like you have like more of a gap between them, and then just like try to get more people to actually play ranked, because like that's really the experience you should be trying to have. And also I think that how do you do that, because like a lot of people care a lot about their rank in a ranked game. I think that what they have to do, this sounds stupid, but I think that they have to like find a way to make people not care as much about their rank.
Game just wanted to cater to the bad
They just want to play the
players,
game.
you know? So it's honestly just like, gaming is just honestly a huge sweat fest. And that rounds back to like the ultimate question of this video. Did streamers really ruin gaming? In my honest opinion, yes. I 1000% believe that streamers in esports ruined gaming, because there is no reason why.
Ruined is always a hard word to use, because it's like there's a lot of great games and people like playing them, but I definitely do think that as somebody who's played online games for a long time, that after people realized you could make money with them, it has dramatically changed the way that people perceive content and the way that people go about playing games.
People should be sweating.
I think that it's yes and no. There's bad actors in obviously everything, but due to the nature of gaming and what you can stand to gain from it, it has changed gaming in more of a negative way than a positive. Like I was saying, instead of games being centralized around a good experience and a good story and you just being immersed in the game, everything is about being the best and like how many players you can beat. Can you be number one? Everyone wants to be number one. And, you know, everyone wants to make money. Everyone is fucking hungry out here. It's fucking cutthroat. And, you know, you could attribute this concept to like a lot of other things as well, such as content creation. Like take YouTube for example. A lot of people would argue that MrBeast ruined YouTube in a sense, and that's because of the meta of retention editing that he would do. These days he's trying to scale it back and make longer form videos where people just actually watch those without having like a ton of retention editing. But anyway, it's similar, but it's not.
At a game where you literally farm cabbages. How do you even sweat in Farming Simulator? How? Let me know in the comments.
Find a way.
Do y'all think streamers / pro players ruin gaming? Or like, what's your guys' take on this whole situation? Let me know. But yeah, this is gonna wrap up the video. If you guys made this far, I appreciate you. If you guys enjoyed this video, then I highly recommend you guys check out my most recent video where I talk about why everyone hates prank channels. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. It's Cameron, and I'm out.
Peace.
I think this is a great video. I definitely do. Like,
it is a good video.
I say like this guy, I think probably explained like what I think really well. He says, I don't think streaming is what ruined it. It's people sweating over the prospect of streaming that ruined it. Abso-fucking-lutely. Absolutely.
He is correct,
I completely agree. Yeah, and it's like streaming gives people that opportunity to like, oh, maybe I can be really big and play this game and take it seriously, right? And so that's it. There's the link. Yeah, make sure to give the video a like. This was good. It came out a long time ago, but like I just saw it and I thought that especially after the other video I watched, it would be worth looking at, because like streamers do definitely, like whenever somebody is like, oh, what's the best gun in the game, they're going to probably go and check on Twitch or check on somewhere like Twitch to figure out what they need to do and how they need to play. And so that's usually what's going to happen. Just don't give a fuck. Yeah, but like whenever you're playing a game and you keep getting beat by people that are like so far above you in skill level that you know that you're never going to get to that point, there is like a certain amount of like, why am I really doing this? Am I really having fun being cannon fodder? It's demoralizing. Like,
this sort of like tracks back to what I was saying earlier in this reaction, is that even if you are like really good at a game, like there are so many other players that are on that like insane level that like, how are you supposed to stand out? Because essentially you all are playing the same way because meta gets you wins. And when you're good at taking advantage of metas and, you know, just new trends within a game that you love, how do you stand out? And even if you go on Twitch and you're streaming, you're an insanely good player, like what is gonna entice someone to scroll through all the streamers in this game that you're playing to find you, especially if you're streaming to only one person? Like, it is insanely difficult in this day and age, even if you're like a really good player. I would say that marketing is probably your better option rather than like streaming 24/7, but you know,
like it just sucks. Like,
it's rough.
I mean, is it really a crazy thing to say that losing in a video game 80% of the time sucks? Like, I think it absolutely does. So min-maxing, I think, is a natural process. You're right. And I think the best way to guard against it is to make people not care about the outcome of the game as much as possible. I think one way that happened pretty well is like in PUBG.
As long as money is a reward that you can gain from gaming, what Asmongold is proposing will never happen, because people want to win to get the money. And as long as that's how it is, that's how it's gonna stay. Especially in today's society with inflation and shit becoming, you know, all sorts of whack in our Western society. Yeah, it's a tough solution.
I wouldn't necessarily care as much about the outcome of the game, because the game was more of a long-form experience versus like Warzone or versus Fortnite, where like it was very much like a competitive game. And I think that that's what happens. Is like the more competitive a game is, the more the
what's he doing?
The more the meta matters, which is like, I mean, just logically, right? Of course, that's the way it is.
I
think streamers have helped. I found games that I never would without streamers.
Okay.
Well, streaming is like one of those things that's the same as everything else, where there are a lot of good things that come out of streaming, and there are also some negatives and bad things that come out of streaming. Like, for example, like you have like people that adhere to a meta and they get like super fixated on playing a meta. Oh my god, meta, right? Mm-hmm. You've got to play this certain way. But at the same time, streaming also elevates video games that are kind of unpopular, and it makes people aware of them on a very, very large scale. So it's just that streaming changes the way that people consume video games as entertainment media. And some of those ways that it gets changed are bad. I mean, fuck, man, it seems pretty simple, isn't it? It doesn't help that we're in the information era. Guides are everywhere before the game even comes out.
People think that it's really complicated, but it's really
and this is
simple.
What I was talking about before, about how like it's goal-oriented gameplay. People are so focused on finishing the game that they don't play it. They're not focusing on trying to have an experience in the game. They're not trying to enjoy themselves and immerse themselves in experience. They're trying to just beat the game, do the thing.
Yep.
It's like, and there's so much fixation around accomplishments that people have in video games. And I just think that it's very it's very distorted, right? Because again, streaming is like primarily and gaming is like primarily a young guy thing. Like, yes, there are older people that get into it. Yes, there are girls. I've heard of them, at least. I'm not sure myself personally, but I did hear that they do exist.
We're not entirely sure if they're real or not, you know, if they exist.
That play games and do these things. but it's primarily a lot of young guys. That's basically it. Young guys playing games. And young guys place a disproportionate amount of value in video game accomplishments. And like I would say that in general, the ego that you get out of playing a video game is not really like if you're like 43 and you're still getting that ego out of a video game, there's probably something wrong, you know? Even if you're like 30, you get older, you realize how stupid it is, right? Yeah, exactly. Because like video games, you're programmed to it's like they're programmed to lose against you, right? And so it's just like, but for a young guy, video games are probably the first time that a young kid, like a teenage boy, is able to be treated on the same playing field as everybody else. And that's what makes video games so beautiful and great, is that they give people that, you know, like really want to put their mind to something and really want to overcome it, they put them on that even playing field. That's not true at all. Well, it is though, right? Because like
it is, because all games at the foundation put you on the same playing field as everyone else. The game teaches you how to play it. And whether you're good at picking that up or how quickly you can pick it up depends on you. And everyone is on the same playing field. Some just may be faster at picking it up, and that's why they become a little better than you much faster. But it is essentially a fair playing field. Like, it's not like the game gives someone... Okay, it's questionable with, like, pay-to-win games, but on, like, a game such as Fortnite, there isn't really something like that that gives another person an edge over another person right off the rip. And I know you guys know what I mean. And that's what Asmongold is saying as well.
For example, like, and also, like, you're right, and there's, like, different external factors, but they're not the same external factors that exist in real life. Like, for example, you're not on an even playing field if you're 15 and the other guy's 50, because you just have a genetic advantage against them. You're going to have faster reaction time. That's all there is to it. Are there 50-year-olds that can beat 15-year-olds? Absolutely. But we're talking about averages and extremes. And on the extremes, you know, if you're younger, you're going to have the advantage. That's just how it is. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the ratio between the two on a spectrum is just so, like, almost astronomical. I mean, the extremes of, like, a 50-year-old beating a 15-year-old is extremely fucking low. But that's not to say that it doesn't or can't happen. But with the vast majority of 15-year-olds playing a competitive video game against a 50-year-old, like, the 15-year-old is more highly likely to win.
You know, looking at the same, you know, two people on the same point of a bell graph, or, you know, like a, you know, bell curve graph, you know, the younger one's going to beat the older one. That's just how it is. And so, and also, like, having a good computer, having time to play the game, right? So, like, for example, like an older guy, if you have a wife and a kid and a career, you don't have the time. Like, you really are not on an even playing field against a 19-year-old. You're really not, because the 19-year-old can play the game 12 hours a day and you can't. So it's like you are going up against an insurmountable advantage. But for the 19-year-old, it is a fair playing field in his mind. And it also is still fair.
Yeah, there's certain instances like this scenario he's explaining, and, like, obviously with everything there's going to be outliers, right? But I think in general, like, it is still a fair playing field.
It's just that he doesn't have the resources or the time to make it, to invest into it being fair. And so it's a different set of inequality. And I think that type of inequality does give young guys, especially, a massive ego boost. And I think it's a great thing. That's the way that I felt whenever I was young.
Here's something I want to touch on really quickly before I forget it, is that if you want to be good at something, regardless of your age, I do think that you are still capable of doing it. It just might take you longer than someone that's younger than you to do it. So, for example, there was a 63-year-old woman who picked up playing piano after her husband had passed, and she played it every single day until she was about like 90 years old or so. And people that heard her play at the age of 90 had thought that she had been playing piano all her life. You know, she learned all the classical pieces like Mozart, Beethoven. She learned like all of it, and she played them all really well. And she was 90 years old. Like, that is fucking incredible to me. And I think that it's, you know, the same with gaming. Like, piano is still pretty complex, and it takes a lot of mechanical skill, obviously, using your fingers and coordinating which keys to hit. And it's not much different when it comes to gaming. Like, anyone can get good at gaming. It's just how much time and dedication do you have, and how much effort do you want to put in. Like, it is what it is, but I think that anyone can jump into anything and become good at it at any certain age, whether it's content creation or anything. That's just my take.
Like, I remember I felt really good whenever I was like really good at WoW, and people would ask me for advice, and like I would be able to like lead raids and everything, because it's like the first time I was able to like be taken seriously as an individual, as a person, right? And like that's a great thing. But at the same time, you know, like making the games and like trying to fixate around that, I think can be very toxic for games too. I'm 30 and I enjoy games because life is hard and games are nice or enjoyable way to pass time. It's that simple. Exactly. Yeah. And so like, and this is one thing that like a lot of like more hardcore players don't really understand, is that a lot of the people that play games aren't playing them because it's like, they're not there for the challenge. They're there to enjoy the game. And I think it's like something that whenever you're young, it's hard to understand. And whenever you're old, it's hard to understand the opposite. So there's a huge amount of dissonance there. And there's a disconnect between like, and also like as gaming, like for example, like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever WoW came out, I would assume the like age gap in gaming was like this. And like now I think it's like this, because gaming's gotten a lot bigger overall. And in the process of getting a lot bigger, you have all these different people that play games for different reasons and have different values besides.
It's like the same thing with like anime, for example, right? So when I was younger and in middle school and I would talk about anime and stuff, me and my friends would get fucking bullied for that shit. And now look at where it is now. It's so fucking mainstream. Everyone's into it and everyone thinks it's cool, and it's a little cringe. And it's kind of like a similar concept to, you know, gaming. Like, everyone's just into it now, and it's easily accessible in this day and age, and it's just wild. Like, so many people are on the net now, and they want to be a streamer, they want to be a YouTuber, content creator, and it's crazy out here, dude.
It's just playing the game and being very good at it. And that's how you've seen, obviously, games change, in, you know, for better and for worse. So yeah, what if it's a competitive game now? Well, it depends on like, so that's the thing. And that's what I was saying, like, I don't have the solution for that. I don't know what to do. It's easy to confuse personal accomplishment with multiplayer gaming. Yeah, and it's like, I just think that people should try to take a step back and realize that it is just a game. It's not really a big deal. But at the same time, if you have fun and you're enjoying it, then you've already won. And if you're not enjoying the game, most people that are playing a game really seriously, even if you're in the top 1%, you're a loser.
Yeah.
You're a massive loser if you're only in the top 1%. Because if you look at the people that are playing and that are like really well known in like the WoW community or in any of these other communities, like the guys that really pop off are in the top 0.001%.
Yeah, that's
like,
exactly what I was saying
Max
earlier.
is in the best guild in the world. Peo is a multi-gladiator. Stay Safe, I think, used to play pretty seriously. I'm not really even sure. Shobek actually competed in a tournament for the game. Vinruki has been a rank 1 player for 15 years. Rank 1 is the top 0.1% of the arena competitors. So it's a top 0.1% of the best players that are doing arena. So a lot of these guys, Absturge, you know.
Right, and like I was saying earlier, you could be an insanely good player and like look at everyone in the WoW category. Like you could be an insanely godlike player, but because you just barely started streaming, you only have like 1 viewer. Like you're not up here, dude. You're like 50 or 90 scrolls down at the bottom, and no one is scrolling down there to see you. Like, you may want to be a successful streamer and make money off like your professional level gaming in terms of like a competitive game, but getting noticed and standing out is an entirely different thing as well. It's so hard, man. It's difficult and it sucks. I wish that more people could pop off, but
Bajira, multi-rank 1. So if you're only in the top 1% in a video game, you're just a loser. That's all there is to it. You're just a fucking loser. And just give up. Give up. If you think that you're going to like be like really well known for how good you are at the game, even if you're in the top 0.1%, I think you're still probably not good enough. Because think about it, that's 1 in 100.
He's just like affirming like what I am saying, because even if you're insanely good at the game, doesn't mean you're gonna go anywhere. Like it's like a sad truth. It's unfortunate.
1 in 100 is 1%, right? 1 in 1,000 is 0.1%. That's nothing. Bro, like how many big streamers are there? There's like 15. Are there 15,000 people? No, there's probably way more.
There's so many
Same
more.
thing with real life and sports. If you're top 1%, you're nobody. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think people understand. Like, for example, like go watch a Zico video. And like I noticed this with the Makara tournament, is that a lot of like casual players for these games, they don't even know how good the best players are. It's like an unironic, you don't even know their power level. Like there's like levels of gameplay that these guys are existing in that you have no idea that it even exists. It's like if and this is a problem with like WoW Arena, is like you can't appreciate a like a lot of things that happen in, for example, Arena, unless you are a 2200 player, because you don't even know what's happening. And I remember seeing this at BlizzCon. I remember people cheering for like a rep paladin to get killed in Arena, and they were like, oh my god, the match is almost over, and rep paladins in Arena had auto bubble whenever they would die, so it was like a death save. So like you couldn't even kill them then. It wasn't even possible. But like everybody was cheering for it, they had no idea. Because like the average player doesn't even understand enough about the game to be able to appreciate the good players. Next one said the same thing with the best fighting game players. Yeah, people don't even understand how good they are. Even if you've beaten the best players, you still...
Another good example of this is, let's use Tectone. So within the Gacha community, there are players that are pretty active in the community itself. However, Tectone is a big streamer, and if you're into the streaming culture and you keep up with it and such, you will know who Tectone is, and you'd probably agree that Tectone is pretty popular, especially within the Gacha community. However, there are people that don't even know who the fuck he is, despite how controversial he has been within the community, and how many people will just attack him because he used to be low-hanging fruit. Everyone would just dog on Tectone for his takes or his theories and like completely shit on the dude. But that's like another good example of what Asmongold is saying, is that you can still be like top 1%, and Tectone is pretty much top 1% within the gacha gaming space, and there's people that still don't even know who the fuck he is. Like, you know, it is what it is.
You aren't beating them more than you're losing to them? Yeah, exactly. Like, I beat Rekful in Arena. Once. You know, it's like, you know, you think about the fact that, like, you know, if you've ever beaten a really, really good player, you screenshotted whenever you beat them. They didn't screenshot whenever they beat you. It's a good way to say it. And so, yeah, people need to have, like, a more grounded perspective on whenever they're playing these games, and they think that they're going to be, like, really well known. Like, you really do have to be, like, even if you're in the top 0.1%, you're a loser. Don't even try. Give up. Give up. You suck.
Yeah, pussy.
Just the way it is.
You fucking bitch.
How does it make you a loser, though? Well, you're a loser in terms of competing to be one of the top streamers or top esports pros for the game. And you're a loser because you'd lose to them, which makes you a loser. Losers lose.
And winners win.
And you would be losing, which means that you are a...
And I guess in the case of this reaction to this same video, damn, it really comes full circle, huh? Asmongold's a winner, and winners win. Within 1 minute, he ratioed every single statistic on my reaction to this video. It's tough, man.
Loser. I don't make the rules, man. I'm just saying how it is.
Yeah.
That's a bad take. You can still...
They know it. I know it. Everyone fucking knows it. Winners win.
Improve? Then improve. But what I'm saying is that, like, a lot of people, the best players are also improving. They are always improving too. So, like, yes, obviously, like, you can become
some
better,
of them.
But at a certain point, you need to be honest with yourself and realize that, like, no, you're probably not going to be so good. It's not like the best players never get better either. Like, Vinruki is probably a better player now than he was 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, he was a rank 1 player.
But
now
sometimes they become dog shit.
You see what I'm saying? This hurts. Yeah, that's just how it is. Like, those people are going to keep getting better. You're a loser until you win. That's just how it is. Yeah, but at a certain point, like, I'm just saying, like, to be honest about, like, where your standing is. Yeah, it's not a bad take. I'm just explaining how the world works. Yeah, and, like, I know it's hard to say. But, like, that's why I say it. I'm kind of saying it in, like, a very blunt and, like, rude way. But I think it is really true. You aren't going to make it. Yeah, there it is. There it is. You're just not going to make it. So when did you give up on that dream, in your opinion? When did I give up on it? I'm too old for it to have ever been a dream. Like, actually, that's not true. I actually really wanted to play Apex Legends really seriously. And, like, maybe not be, like, a competitive player. I never thought I would be a competitive player. But I wanted to stream it and, like, be good enough to stream the game. And I played the game nonstop for, like, a month. And I didn't feel like my improvement in the game was substantial enough, so I gave up.
Yeah, I've tried with other games as well.
Like, I'm not satisfied with my performance as a player, and I don't think that I'm going to get better at a rate that I feel like I'm investing my time into this and it's worthwhile. That's all there is to it. It's not your game. Yeah, it just wasn't my game. At the end of the day, it just wasn't my game.
Yeah. And it can be like that for a lot of people, you know, some games just aren't your game. But anyway, I know that reacting to someone else's reaction of a reaction that you did is a little cringe, but I thought it would be pretty interesting to do, and lo and behold, it actually was pretty interesting and fun for me to do personally. I didn't think that Asmongold would have a lot of similar takes to mine, and again, if you would like to see my takes, then I'll have the reaction here up above or at the end of this video, and you can check it out that way. But I think Asmongold had some pretty decent takes in this reaction in terms of how streamers ruin gaming. I'm gonna go ahead and like this video. Obviously, subscribe to Asmongold. He's an awesome content creator. Why am I having such a problem saying that fucking word today? Also, be sure to check out Cameron, who is the original maker of the video How Streamers Ruin Gaming. Makes a lot of interesting content as well, so be sure to, give both these guys some love. And, if you like the reaction, then be sure to drop me a like. It would definitely go a long way. I'd appreciate it. But thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna call it here, and I'll see you guys in the next vid. Toodaloo!